It's Liberation Day. Donald Trump is going to be liberating himself from his bestie. That's right. As I called it yesterday, you know, the events are unfolding behind the scenes. Okay, get excited for it. Let's talk about another major L, another major crack in the Trump dam. I'm, of course, talking about the special elections that took place yesterday. 2 in the state of Florida, where, predictably, one of the dudes was named like Voldemort or something, and the other one was named like Expecto Patronum. Very weird race. Yeah, Gay Voldemort versus Expecto Patronum, and then Randy Fine versus, I think, Josh Vail. And both of those were obviously deep red districts, and they went to the Republicans. One was replacing Mike Walz's seat because he's too busy following gay porn accounts and also doing group chats with memes as he discusses classified information. Turns out Mike Waltz loves setting up Signal group chats. He is the group chat god. Anyway, he left his seat to become the national security advisor so he could do group chats with J.D. Vance and numerous other people where they discuss classified information about pummeling other countries into the ground with bombs. And now he will be replaced by another Republican. And the other is a guy who unfortunately didn't get the opportunity to make Signal group chats with members of the administration because maybe he likes giving money to teenagers a little too much on his Venmo accounts, and also is overall despised by the rest of the Republican caucus. I'm, of course, talking about Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz left his seat because he was supposed to be the attorney general. And, of course, there was a very public battle by the Republicans as well as the Democrats to not let him have that moment in the spotlight. For that reason, Matt Gaetz is no longer in office, and instead another Republican has taken his place in the special elections. Now, if you look at the Florida special elections, the Democrats lost, predictably, but they lost by basically half the margins that they had lost to Trump by. So it does show momentum against Donald Trump and against the Republican Party in general, even in deep red states, in deep red districts. So that's interesting to take note of. Having said that, there was also another special elections that took place in Wisconsin for the judicial race. The Supreme Court of the state of Wisconsin was about to either continue being a liberal Supreme Court with four justices that are liberal and 3 that are conservative, or 4 justices that are conservative and 3 are liberal. There's 2 candidates that went up against one another, and Donald Trump spent a ton of money. Or not Donald Trump, sorry, Elon Musk, apologies, spent a ton of money on that race. And given the tendency for Democrats to show up big in special elections, especially because they've captured the attention of high propensity voters, given the tendency for the party in charge to lose special elections in general, especially if they are unfavorable, as is the case with Donald Trump, the Wisconsin judicial race ended with the Democratic-backed candidate winning. Let's take a look.
Turning now to some very rare good news for Democrats. A clear victory for their candidate, Susan Crawford, for a crucial seat on Wisconsin's Supreme Court. She beat out a Republican who was closely tied to President Trump, and the election was also seen as a test of political power, the power of billionaire Elon Musk, who spent millions on the race. Ed O'Keefe has been following it all for us. Ed, they said it was Elon's money versus liberal anger, and I guess the anger won. Good morning.
Yeah, anger beat cash this time. Good morning, Tony. This was viewed as one of the first major political tests for President Trump and his coalition since he took office. Elon Musk and his America PAC poured more than $20 million into the race, and he made a high-profile visit to Wisconsin, rallying support for conservative judicial candidate Brad Schimmel, and as you see there, personally handed out million-dollar checks to 2 voters. Schimmel embraced the president's endorsement and Musk's donations while stating he wouldn't be a reliable yes vote on the bench for either if elected. While Crawford made a point in the closing weeks of running against the Musk money. Her victory secures a liberal majority on the state's highest court. Although mega donors aren't new to politics, this became a rejection of the world's richest man and his attempts to sway an election in a key state. And Musk...
So, as I said yesterday, I predicted that this would go the way of the Democrat-backed candidate because of the reasons that I mentioned, high propensity voters and their likelihood to go out and vote in special elections, as opposed to low propensity voters, which make up a big chunk of the base of the Republican Party, which, you know, come out in major numbers during general elections and handily gave Donald Trump the electoral victory, but also the resentment that they feel towards the party in power versus the complacency that Republicans feel when their guy has won. I did the thing that I wanted to do. I went out and I voted for you. You won. What more do you want from me? Here's the thing. There was an additional factor here at play that I think made the margins of victory for the Democrat-backed candidate way higher, because it was likely that she was going to win, but not by this margin of victory. And the reason was Elon Musk. As I said before, a couple things that I predicted was that Elon Musk is patently unlikable, just a truly disfigured, horrifying, monstrous type of person with a weird accent, and is entirely too neurodivergent for average normies to look at and go, yeah, I like this guy. If he didn't have the trifecta of things that the average American, especially in the middle of the country, despises, perhaps he could be a little bit less of a burden on these races. But he is quite literally all of the things that are cringe. He's incredibly cringe. He's not charismatic at all. He is neurodivergent, but not necessarily in a way where it's like, oh, this guy's brilliant, but neurodivergent in a way where people look at that and go, you can't finish your sentences. I don't know what's going on. You're stuttering all over the place. These are optical things that American voters care about. Okay. He also is a billionaire elite, and people don't really like when billionaire elites are directly trying to impact elections. But last but not least, he's also too foreign. He is a foreign billionaire elite that is trying to personally manipulate the outcome of an American election. He is everything that people claim George Soros is doing. And while Twitter might glaze Elon Musk in ridiculous ways, Twitter is not real life. While us living in liberal enclaves might see the worst of the worst of the Republican MAGA base, blue enclave right-wing reactionaries who love Elon Musk, the average American's attitude about Elon Musk is not so hot. And that is reflected in the polling data anyway. But that was once again solidified last night. I think Elon Musk's physical presence on this race and his direct interference was a major burden. And it was very important for Elon Musk to actually win this race, because Elon Musk's time in the administration, as he uses the administrative state like a light, is predicated upon a couple things. One, direct cash infusions to the Trump administration, to the Trump campaign, to Donald Trump in general. But more importantly than that, Elon Musk presented himself as an attack dog for Donald Trump. Elon Musk stated time and time again that he would spend endless amounts of money on primaries against Republicans who actually dared to step out of line with Trump's agenda. Elon Musk wanted to prove himself in this space by going foolishly to Wisconsin to prove that he could spend endless amounts of money on a Wisconsin race, a Wisconsin special election that was more costly overall than a senatorial race. Think about how insane that is. And last night, he failed in spectacular fashion, in a way where every analyst basically reported Elon Musk's presence in this race was a giant burden for the Republican Party. And I also predicted last night that this would be the turning point between the relationship of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. While Donald Trump, I said, would most likely still, quote unquote, defend him publicly, but not to the same severity that he used to, it's over. Their relationship is done, because Donald Trump can't stand losers. And it turns out today that's already being reported on. As I said last night, I said the first real moment for the Trump-Elon split, he can't stand losers. It turns out there's already a political reporting on the matter. Trump tells Inner Circle that Musk will leave soon. He's so fast with it. Now we wait for the relationship between the divas to deteriorate publicly. The copium and the sea of this celebration for the Democratic Party came from Elon Musk, who said, I expected to lose, but there is value to losing a piece for a positional gain. There was no value. Elon Musk is coping. And it seems even his fan base is not eating this up. That's the situation
Musk
in
became a
Wisconsin.
lightning rod amid his ongoing attempts to dismantle parts of the federal government. Also Tuesday, down in Florida, they held 2 special elections for House seats to succeed former Congressman Matt Gaetz and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. As expected, Republicans easily won in the ruby red districts, but Democrats cut into the larger margins the GOP had enjoyed last November. Keeping these seats was key for Republicans as they attempt to pass more of the president's agenda. There are now 220 Republican seats, 213 Democratic seats, a narrow margin in a party that has known to have a few no votes, Gail.
All right, we're paying attention, Ed. But before you go, yesterday, you know this, Senator Cory Booker made history, breaking a record for the longest Senate speech at 25 hours and 4 minutes. No bathroom breaks, no food. He was protesting what he called a crisis brought on by the Trump administration's policies.
When our founder said we must mutually pledge to each other, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We need that now.
Yeah. I don't care about this. Okay.
And we
I'm going to skip the Cory Booker stuff for now. I'll get back to it later.
have breaking news right now. Sources tell ABC News Elon Musk could be taking a step back from his role in the administration. Musk is classified as a special government employee, which only lasts 130 days, but it's been widely rumored the White House could take steps to extend his role. Let's bring in ABC News senior reporter Catherine Falders for more on that. Catherine, what are you hearing?
Yeah, so we know what Trump has said publicly here, but the timing of this in terms of what our sources are telling us that Trump is saying privately to advisors today is significant because, of course, it comes on the heels of that Wisconsin Supreme Court race where the Democrat there won. And we know that Musk poured millions of dollars. Musk and his groups poured millions of dollars into that race. So significant that Trump is saying this behind the scenes, but also important context to this is just a couple days ago in the Oval Office, Trump was asked very specifically about Musk's status as a special government employee, that 130-day limit. And Trump did indicate on Monday that Musk would be taking a step back in some way. Trump said he thinks that Musk is amazing. And he said, quote, but I also think he's got a big company to run. And so at some point, he's going to be going back. He wants to go back to his company. So essentially, Trump indicated there that after that limit was up, that Musk could be taking a step back.
Trump was shielded from criticism by the cult of personality. Musk represented an outlet for Dems and disgruntled Republicans who would otherwise not criticize the Trump admin, a lightning rod for criticism. Well, he's a lightning rod for criticism because he's also incredibly annoying. I need you to understand something. He is unimaginably boring. He's gross. He's a freak. He doesn't have Trump's charisma. He doesn't. Trump is at least telegenic. He's zesty. He has a passion for the things he cares about, like Broadway musicals, Cats, Phantom of the Opera, Andrew Lloyd Webber. These are things that you can associate with him. Whether you like him or not, it doesn't matter. He's a telegenic figure. Elon Musk doesn't have any of those qualities. He just has a bunch of the dumbest people on a platform that he purchased, riding him into oblivion. He doesn't have any of that in the wild. It does not translate to real popularity. You cannot purchase real popularity this way. That's why a lot of these autistic billionaires hide in the shadows instead of constantly trying to narcissistically make themselves the forefront of these companies, okay? Because otherwise, they're going to be in broad daylight going, I'm become him, USA. And everyone's going to be like, what the This is the guy? This is the richest guy on the planet? What is going on?
Now, look, some of Musk's defenders, according to sources that we're talking to in the White House, say that it's overblown that Musk is being pushed out. And look, we're not saying that he's being pushed out. He could be taking a step back. You and I both know.
Yeah. Also, Elon Musk is here contesting the White House narrative. Initially, that came out that was like, no, he's taking a back seat. Like, it's normal. He was going to. With Caroline Leavitt saying, this scoop is garbage. Elon Musk and President Trump have both publicly stated that Elon will depart from public service as a special government employee when his incredible work at Doge is complete. Yeah, exactly. Elon Musk has lost his lifeline, okay? Everyone is saying that he's departing. Everyone is saying that he's departing, and he's like, oh, it's fake news. I'm departing because I'm leaving. You can't fire me. I quit. That's what this is. But it's not enough. It's not enough. We need more, okay? we need more. Because Elon Musk and Donald Trump, in some ways, are cut from the same cloth. They are both narcissistic, thin-skinned man-children who are very stubborn and have a lot of pride. Therefore, I suspect that this relationship will deteriorate publicly as well as privately, as it's happening right now. Because once Trump recognizes that Elon Musk's attack dog, pit bull attitude at the behest of Donald Trump will not serve Trump's agenda, when Republicans call Donald Trump and say, please don't send Elon to our special elections or whatever, he will have no more use for Elon Musk. It's that simple, especially when Elon's unpopularity moves beyond being a vector for all the hatred, like a shield, because everyone is too focused on Elon Musk to shit on Donald Trump, into a genuine burden for Trump's administration and his agenda, as he has become now the singular nuisance. Trump is going to have to cut him out. They will either demand that he keep paying his way quietly and in private without making much of a hassle or without saying anything publicly, which I don't think Elon Musk will comply with. After all, this man is so narcissistic that he has to do his own announcements. He has to do his own product announcements. He thinks he's got Steve Jobs' charisma. He does not. So he won't just give them money without being while being relegated into the shadows. He will want to also keep speaking out. And the more he speaks out, the worse the outcomes will be, because association with Elon Musk is an immediate indication of corruption and billionaires interfering with American politics in ways that Americans clearly don't like. So I think Trump will have to cut or sever the ties publicly at a certain point.
Know that Trump has lots of advisors inside the White House and outside the White House who he talks to every day and seeks advice from. So that will still continue. But in terms of Musk's employment status and it being up potentially at the end of May, that is obviously what seems to be a little bit uncertain at this point. And it is important context that Trump is indicating behind the scenes that Musk will take some form of step back here.
So could Musk stay with the administration, but in some other capacity?
Look, anything is possible. This gets back into our discussion about his status as a special government employee. I'm not sure, at least right now, that he will, unless the White House extends that in some way or he goes somewhere else in government. It appears that his status as a special government employee could be up at the end of May. But that, again, doesn't mean that he won't be advising President Trump. Trump isn't saying behind the scenes that he's soured on Musk. In fact, he remains satisfied and pleased with what Musk has done across the government in terms of cost cutting, despite it being challenged in just the courts and despite the pushback here. So I'm sure he will remain a voice in President Trump's ear, regardless of what happens here in the next few weeks.
All right, senior reporter Catherine Falders, thank you.
This morning, you can find some Democrats smiling, maybe for the first time
This is pretty
in the
good.
last few months. That's after some good special election results, an outright.
I will admit, I hate that Donald Trump did the tariff drop today, because I planned in the morning, I planned on spending most of the day on this and doing victory laps and talking about how glorious this is. And then Donald Trump came in and destroyed the economy with the stroke of a pen. And it ruined my plans of talking about how Elon sucks and how everybody hates him. If I were in his shoes, I'd just go away.
Win in Wisconsin and some better margins in the state of Florida. So what does it all mean?
I admit this is a bit of an overreaction. Like, Trump is honestly going to pass on access to a limitless checkbook simply because the dude is a Thorbjorn main? Yes.
What really happened? CNN Chief Data Analyst Harry Enton is here. Let's start with a little bit of Wisconsin, right? An amuse-bouche on Wisconsin. This was a race. Elon Musk spent big in this race to sway the Supreme Court race there. And he also went to Wisconsin, which may honestly have backfired.
Yeah, I think it may have backfired. Look, I think if there's one thing we should be taking away from the results in Wisconsin and the polling that we have from Wisconsin and national, if you are a Republican candidate running in a swing state, you don't want Elon Musk anywhere near you. Yes, maybe you like the money, but you do not want his presence in your state. Why is that? Elon Musk, simply put, is an unpopular guy. He is political poison. Look in Wisconsin, his net favorable rating, minus 12 points, 12 points underwater. That is an even worse number when you look nationally. Look at that. It's minus 17 points. So if there's one big lesson to take away from Wisconsin is Elon Musk does not help Republicans when he shows up. If anything, the data suggests that he hurts them. Republicans, stay clear.
Like, look at this. Look at this stance. You're getting clowned on by a dude whose legs are buckling at the mere thought of destroying you with words. He got the hentai legs, dude. He's got the ooh-woo kawaii legs up in here. He's looking like me trying to do a Japanese dance. He's got the vibe in, bro. Chill. No, he dude. Elon Musk catching a fade from a dude whose knees are buckling in the process is amazing.
Of Elon Musk, if you want to win in a swing state, at least in terms of his physical appearance in your state.
All right, what did we see in terms of swings in Florida?
What do we see in the terms of swings in Florida? You know, we were talking about Florida 6, and you can see it here. The election margins in the U.S. House District, you know, Donald Trump won the 6 by 30 points. Last night, what did we see? We saw the Republican Randy Fine win by 14. That's a swing of 16 points. But that's not anywhere near the swing we saw in Florida 1. Look at that. Donald Trump won it by 37 points. The Republican won last night, but only by 15. That's a 22-point swing. We're talking about an average 19-point swing from the baseline back in 2024 in just a matter of 4 or 5 months. These are massive shifts. These are massive shifts to the left. Democrats really have to like this, even if the Republicans added to their majority in terms of what this potentially means down the road. You take this type of swing, you put it on some swing districts, that's very good news for Democrats.
Now, all of us who have this certain political sickness over the last 24 hours, we're talking about Kansas, Harry. Why are we focused on Kansas?
Kansas is on my mind, and it's not just because I want to go home Toto. Look at this. Kansas 4th District election margins. If you go back in time to 2017, what did we see? You know, you remember back in 2016, Donald Trump won the 4th District by 27 points. And then all of a sudden, this ruby red district, Ron Estes won in April of 2017, but just by 6. Ergo, a 21-point swing. Very similar to that average 19-point swing we saw in those deep red districts last night in Florida. And then you say, okay, this tells us something about the political environment going into 2018, where Republicans, of course, lost. And, of course, generally speaking, we look back, special elections and midterm results. If a party outperforms in a special election since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they wanted to win the U.S. House. Perhaps last night in Florida is a sign of things to come.
And again, it's an explanation of why Elise Stefanik is not going to be the ambassador to the United Nations. All right, Harriet, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Joining us right now to talk more about this is Democratic Congressman from Wisconsin, Mark Pocan. Congressman, thank you for coming in. This was a big win last night, a win by 10 points for this state Supreme Court seat. What do you...
The worst thing about this is that the Dems will just say, yeah, we don't need to do shit and just win. I mean, I feel like they didn't need any proof to do that anyway, because when their approval ratings are plummeting, they're still saying, we don't have to do anything. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't think they need any sort of evidence that their incompetence is actually helping them fail upwards. They just would have done what they were going to do, which is nothing regardless.
Take as the biggest lesson or takeaway from last night?
And for the record, their approval ratings show that they are still very much out of favor. People do not with them. Trust.
Oh, thanks for having me. I mean, clearly, this not only was a 10-point win in a purple state, but the turnout was so high. It was people coming out to say what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing is not supported. People don't want their health care and long-term care cut. They don't want education cut. They don't want food assistance cut, all so that Elon Musk and Donald Trump can get a tax cut. This was a very...
Yeah, there's another not so great morning for Elon Musk. Tesla Q1 deliveries worse than expected.
For tariffs, one widely anticipated number are Tesla deliveries, and for that, we'll turn to Phil LeBeau. Hey, Phil.
May even get tired. Hey, Carl, we knew these would not be good-looking numbers, and they are.
Bro, this is literally what I was looking for in terms of memes. This is what I was demanding.
Of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Amazing. Someone needs to superimpose that with like crying HVAC business owners with like a red filter over them too, and they're just like, whoa, why? With the repeat of him saying, we're gonna keep winning, we're gonna keep winning. Elon Musk irritates some in the cabinet and some in the administration. Trump still likes him. He also recently told Trump team he wants to spend $100 million through Trump groups. Musk is a useful heat shield for Trump, as evidenced by him hurling himself into the Wisconsin race to the bewilderment of some around the president. Yeah, I think he could have also just dumped some money in the Florida races and called it a day. That's also what's so stupid about this, because he could have considered this a major victory, but instead he went to Wisconsin, a race that was not going to be won by the Republican-backed candidate anyway.
Worse than expected, 336 and 68 vehicles, 336,068 vehicles delivered in the first quarter for Tesla. For a point of reference, the street was expecting, the street account was expecting, based on analyst expectations, a 371. Most were saying 350 to 360. Now they're coming in at 336,068. Production of 362,615. So for some point of reference here, you're going back to Q2, maybe Q1 of 2022 in terms of the last time that they had production this or deliveries this low for one quarter. So again, Tesla deliveries worse than expected at just over 336,000 deliveries in the first quarter. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
That's horrible. Can I just ask Phil, how about the Cybertruck? How's that doing? You got a little inventory there in the Cybertruck?